structure today. I want Mondays to be about having a very real conversation, right? The conversation that women need to be having together that we often don't, right? So this challenge is all about prioritizing you, taking care of you, which so many of us have such a hard time doing, and we don't do it often enough, which ends up in physical and emotional burnout, right? That is the conversation I've been having. If you watch my TikTok or my Instagram, I've been doing a lot of content about burnout because I think so many women are probably in burnout or struggling with burnout and they have no idea, or they don't even know what that means, right? It's one of those things that we hear a lot, but it's like, I still don't really know what that is, or if I'm struggling with it, or what do I do about it? And a lot of times we let it go too long that then it becomes very real physical illness, right? So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how to prioritize yourself appropriately. And I want to talk about if you are struggling with burnout, what can you do and what are your next steps to make sure that it doesn't become more problematic than it already is, which for some of you is probably already severe, right? So here are some signs, and this is how I kind of explain burnout to people, is you might be entering or in burnout if you feel like you don't have control over your emotions, right? If you are the person that little things are irritating you, or noises but used to not bother you, like too much noise feels super overwhelming. If you feel like things you used to love to do aren't fun anymore. That was a big one for me, is like I would look at things that I would normally love to do and I'd be like, I really don't feel like doing that. Like that doesn't even interest me anymore. Those are all signs that your nervous system, your body is so overwhelmed that it can't process normal things, right? And that is a big indication of burnout. And now when that happens and we don't take care of it, right? Because let's face it, we are women and we never prioritize ourselves. Everyone else comes first, right? Your family, your kids, your business, your house, your obligations. We put all of that above ourselves. So a lot of you start feeling like that, right? You're like, oh yeah, I am feeling worn out. I'm really tired. I'm waking up after a full night's sleep and I still don't feel rested. But you push through. You do it anyways. You add an extra coffee. You do a midday Starbucks run, whatever it is. And on the first signs, we never slow down. It typically takes your body giving you more and more signs that forces you to slow down, right? So after that, you start feeling even more intense symptoms. This is what I call the wired but tired, right? Where all day long you're exhausted, but you get to the end of the day and your mind won't stop racing. You lay down to go to sleep and you can't sleep. All you want to do is sleep. You're so tired, but your body won't sleep. You start getting anxious about things. Things start bothering you. Your heart starts racing. You start feeling that pit in your stomach. And a lot of times for no reason. That's a huge sign that this could potentially be a burnout issue, is when it isn't even anything that major, but you feel like it feels so heavy, right? So crushing, when normally you'd be able to handle that. Now, here's what I have experienced personally, and what I think a lot of women do, and this is the conversation I want to make sure I bring to the light and I invite you guys all into, is when we're feeling like that, and when in your head you're thinking, I don't feel like myself, something isn't right, most people will never admit that out loud, right? Because we don't want people to think we don't have it all together, or we tell ourselves, I can do this, right? I can do all of the things, I'm good at this. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And if you don't prioritize yourself at those first signs of burnout, it doesn't end well, right? Let me tell you something. You are the CEO of all the things, right? Especially if you're a mom, if you have your own business, or if you have a job, or all the things, right? If you're a mom, a wife, if you're a stay-at-home mom, a homeschool mom, that is a massive amount of work and responsibility. If you, any of those things, if you volunteer, those are all things that require you to be the best version of you. So let me be abundantly clear. You not taking care of yourself is not the right thing to do, right? It is not being noble by putting everyone else first, because if you go down, right, which we do, and I'll tell you my story in a second, if you go down, if you crash, what happens to all of those other things? How do you show up as a mom if you are in full burnout? How do you show up as a wife? How do you show up as a teacher? How do you show up as a business owner if you are in full-blown physical and emotional burnout. You can't. So you have to prioritize you so that you can show up for everyone who needs you as your best self. And let me tell you, I, for a lot of years, did not do that. I really prized myself. I was so proud of the fact that I could do all the things, right? So I'm going to share an example with you, and you might have a similar example or be able to relate with something different in life. My husband and I have worked very hard, right, to build the life that we have. We went to school together, we got our doctorates together, we went through our training programs together, and we opened our office together. So we worked really hard. We opened an office very quickly. It became the largest health center in all of Kentucky. We were very successful. We were taking care of lots of people, and it was fun and it was great, but we were working really hard, right? I was already exhausted. I was starting to get those signs, right? Things were really getting on my nerves easily. It was hard to control my emotions. I wasn't sleeping well, but I was pushing it all to the side saying, oh, it's because I'm busy, right? We're doing a lot. This is normal. So I pushed all that to the side. Get pregnant with our first child, my son. And all through pregnancy, I worked all the way up to the day I went into labor with him, right? And told myself, like, so proud. This is what like strong women do. I can run the business. I can, be pregnant. I was like, it was a joke to me that like, I think I went into labor like at the end of a shift, went home and had a baby, and then strapped him to my back and went back to work 10 days later, right? I didn't even take time to rest and heal. And I was already a doctor at that point. I should have known better, but I didn't, because in society, we're just like made to think that that's the right thing to do. You're so strong. You're amazing. I can't believe you were able to do that. And even still in that season, I didn't realize that what I was doing was not noble. I wasn't helping more people by not taking care of me. I was actually setting myself up for the biggest physical and emotional crash I've ever had. So I kept going at that speed. I kept doing all the things for several years. I wish I would have learned my lesson sooner, but I let that go on for 2 years. And month by month, I kept getting worse and worse. So it went from just being exhausted, it went from being irritable, and then I started getting migraine headaches. Then I started getting really bad joint pain. Then I started getting fibromyalgia symptoms that I hadn't had in decades. I was over it. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia when I was 8 years old, fully healed from it in my 20s, but started seeing things come back when I wasn't prioritizing my health, right? So it got worse and worse, to the point where finally I was in such a deep physical and emotional burnout, I couldn't get out of bed. I physically could not get out of bed because I let it go that far. And like most of you, I did the exact same thing. I waited until I not only wanted to take care of myself, I had to, right? I waited for the full crash to decide that it was worth prioritizing me and taking care of myself. And so many women, I work with hundreds of women, and almost every woman I talk to has some story of when they were physically or emotionally burnt out. And for a lot of us, it's both, right? I always say physical imbalance, whatever you have going on, autoimmune issue, thyroid issue, adrenal issue, hormone issue, endometriosis, PCOS, doesn't matter what your diagnosis is. Every single physical imbalance has a physical cause, right? What's going on physically with your body? Is there a hormone imbalance? Do we have inflammation? Do we have chronic infections? Is our gut microbiome imbalanced? Do we have yeast or bacteria, right? Those who have an Epstein-Barr infection. Those are the physical imbalances, but we also have our emotional imbalances. And this is the piece that I don't think people understand, or we maybe surface level understand it, but we don't even know where to start balancing the emotional piece, right? So maybe it's toxic relationships. For a lot of you, maybe it's overextending your schedule. Are you doing all the things when really you shouldn't be, or things you don't even enjoy doing, but you do them because you feel like you have to? Are you not setting healthy boundaries, right? Do you say yes when really you wanted to say no? Do you allow things to infiltrate your time when you should be resting and healing because you feel like you should be helping other people? Those cause some major emotional imbalance. Maybe there's something in your life you're living out of alignment with, right? Maybe you have something you want to speak or teach or do, but you're not doing it because you're afraid what other people will think. Or maybe you're always worried about what other people are saying or doing. That is living out of alignment, with your true self, and those are the emotional things that can cause imbalance. And then there's the big stuff, right? Do you have past trauma, abuse, failed relationships? Do you have guilt or shame around decisions you've made in your past that you've never properly dealt with? Those all compound, right? So you have your, let's say, a hormone imbalance, and then you have past trauma, and then you have some gut issues, and then you have some relationship issues, and then you have some inflammation issues, and then you have too many things on your schedule. Just saying that makes me tired, right? But that's what your bodies are feeling right now. All of those things have stacked one on top of the other to get you to where you feel like everything's hard. Like you can't do it anymore, right? And then you get frustrated, and then you want to give up because it feels like nothing you're doing is working. And that is a very debilitating place to be. And I know because I have been there. So my favorite thing to do, listen, I love teaching you how to eat well. I love teaching you how to exercise. I love giving you guided meditations. All that stuff is fun. But what my passion truly is to teach women to prioritize themselves, because you deserve to feel good. Everyone else needs you to feel good, but you deserve to feel good. So I want to invite you, if you are open in sharing, maybe you're feeling like that right now. Maybe you've had a situation of burnout, physical or emotional burnout. For a lot of you, maybe you're there right now. If you want to share in the comments, I think it's very comforting for women to hear that other people are going through it, to share their experiences. And if you are currently struggling, please reach out. The best thing you can do, and I'll put the link back down in the comments, is schedule a wellness call. If you are struggling with burnout, the most important thing we can do is start diving deep to find the physical and emotional root causes, and then put a very strategic plan in place to start balancing them, right? Take the guesswork off. Don't make it one more thing you have to do on your priority list. Get the help and guidance you need to make sure that you are making the right progress without the overwhelm, right? So if you are currently struggling, that is one of the things I absolutely love helping women through. My whole team does. We've actually created a program that takes into consideration both of those things, the physical and the emotional aspects of healing, in addition to all of the great lifestyle things that we're sharing with you in this challenge. But for us to see a change in women's healthcare, this is the conversation that needs to happen more, right? Is that we put too much on us physically and emotionally, and our bodies get to a point where they can not take any more stress and strain, and that creates those big crashes, the health issues, the diagnosis, the disease, the imbalance, right? And if we can be better about identifying those things before they happen and taking proper care of ourselves, I think we will see a massive shift in the health of the women of this world. And I always say, happy, healthy women will change the world, because a happy, healthy woman makes happy, healthy relationships, makes happy, healthy kids who will make happy, healthy kids, and even more happy, healthy generations. And the more we can do that is how we actually see a dramatic shift in the quality of healthcare. So my job is to help you take care of you so that you can build healthy generations moving forward. So please share with me. I'm going to check the comments real quick. If you guys are having situations like this, yes, I'm that woman, girl. I know. Yes, so insightful. And I'm telling you, it's rare that I meet a woman who hasn't felt like she has had some level of burnout and just wasn't sure either how to identify it or how to properly manage it from there. But we have been there. Feel free to chat and put in the comments or share your story so other people can see that as well. And then if you're struggling, ask for help. And now some very practical things for the week. So we are starting week 2. This is the time that most people are thinking about, maybe, do I have to be 100%? I've done so well up to this point. I've earned, right, the cheat or the thing, or I just missed one day. I'm telling you, this is the day. We had you write down your big why. Remember we went over our big whys? Why are you doing this, right? What is the reason you can anchor back to when things get hard? I need you to go back to that today. I want you to take it back out, rewrite it, read it, feel it again, because I want you to recommit today to put just as much effort in this week as you did last week. Just as much effort in when it starts to feel harder, and really stay the course, because this second week is where you start to see the coolest changes. Week 1, we start decreasing inflammation. I've seen lots of people say some pounds are leaving. That's amazing. But week 2 is where we start to get a lot of the internal things changing. So digestion, better function of your metabolism, all of that will start to change in week 2, but you've got to stay consistent. But it can be progress over perfection. So if you've fallen off track, if you've had a few cheats, if you feel like you haven't been perfect, today is another day to just get back on track, right? Doing something is better than doing nothing. So even if you've been off track, you recommit today. What is your big why? Go back through your checklist, make sure you're doing the things you need to do, and get back on it today. So if that's you, you could either say, I'm still committed if you have stayed the course, or maybe today you needed to recommit. Maybe you need to just sit back down with yourself and remember why you wanted to start this challenge in the first place, right? Go back to that moment. When you pressed register, when you signed up for this challenge, why did you do that? What was the reason? What were you thinking to yourself? I'm going to do this because. I want you to go back to that feeling. Whatever that goal was, think about that again today and basically re-sign yourself up, right? Be like, nope, I'm back in. I deserve to do this because I deserve to feel good. I deserve to be healthy, and a healthier version of me is better for everybody, right? So nothing that you are committing to, the time you are taking, is not selfish. Everything you're doing for yourself in this 21 days is the most selfless thing you can do. It helps everybody around you, and you will be a better version of you for taking care of yourself. So I commend you for prioritizing yourself.